Hello and welcome back to Memory Lane. This is part 3. Well, it's actually part 3 and 4, so it's kind of combined. Well, basically what I'm saying is I managed to get parts 3 and 4 into one part, so it's part 3. So we're starting off at the bus stop where we ended the last video, Chelsea Gardens. So that's looking out with the bus stop at my back. And what I'm going to do is literally just start walking along. We are from the bus stop, literally where we left off. So we get to this point. I'll probably have been on the other side of the road by now anyway, as a schoolboy, walking to school. And so obviously I wouldn't be walking in the road. There we go, walking on the pavements. This would probably be the route I took here now. And I used to cross the road. Well, sometimes I do remember. Sometimes I used to walk on different sides of the road on the pavement, but I get bored with doing exactly the same thing every day, so I used to change it up a bit. There's a gap that goes down to a field, which we'll talk about in another video, and you can get to it through this place coming up on the left. Not that place, the other place. Down this path here, that takes you to the same field as well. That's another place from my childhood. Right, so that's a set of garages that were opposite that pathway. Moving further up the road, you're coming up to an old tree, which is has a lot of memories for me. So I'm just going to walk up from this point on. It's just those garages have always been there, both sides. Although the wall was a little bit more looking like a wall when I was a kid. Seems to have broken off a bit there now, but yeah, those garages were always there. And I'm just going to walk up on this side, which I did sometimes, and walk right across the kind of muddy area across the tree. Not there. We used to go in there on our bike sometimes. This tree in front of us used to go straight across to that tree and up and over. But sometimes I would walk on the other side and do it. So I'll do it from both ways to show you, because it all converges at that point there. So now I'm on the other side, same garages, and coming up. So come up to this path. It's really overgrown, that path. It's like half the size it used to be. I used to come along here on my bike. It's crazy. That's like the tree. Used to be a ramp there. The mud used to form a natural ramp. We used to cycle over it on our bikes as a kid. We'll get to that from the other side though. So it's coming up to here, and this is the point where you can go left or right. Now left takes you to the field I was mentioned previously. Again, we'll come to that in another video. Plenty of walks with the dogs down there, let's just say that. And then there's this. This way is the way we went to school, the way I used to go. So we'll walk on a bit more. Here, that was another way which led to somewhere else, which was where someone else lived that I didn't really know very well, but we'll talk about that later. Now this is they've put stones around the tree, which is irritating. We'll just come back to that and show you this here. Now this is quite a memorable spot, and I'll tell you why. Because it was a kind of meeting place for us as friends on the way to school. And there it is, the famous tree where we used to cycle over. We used to get up speed on the way because we knew the jump was going to take off like Evel Knievel over that. Those rocks were not there when I was a kid, but the bank was more I think we made it into a ramp more than anything, because that's what we used to do. I'm glad the tree is still there, though. I'm really glad about that. So this is the place where I can see my friends coming along the path now. It's strange. Some friends, some adversaries. You know how it is with kids. And the same for going home as well. So they would have gone that way, and I went that way sometimes, and went a long ways if I wanted to. If it was having a deep and interesting conversation with my friends, and I wanted to keep it up for just a little while longer, I'd go that way. But this was usually the parting point. So going back to looking straight ahead with the tree on my right, there's the veterinary service is actually in front of me there. It's back to the tree again, obviously. I couldn't get enough of the tree. I'm just glad it was there. And I'm stood on the mound now. I used to take off on my bike. So there it is, standing on the mound. Facing the other way. And that's the way we're heading. And that's the way I would go to school. So we then all start walking along this way. Right, so we're heading towards this subway down here. So we'd be kind of chatting about our day, either on the way to school or on the way back, because we'd meet up and come back sometimes. It was an odd one. It varied day to day who I was walking with, whatever. All this fencing on the right, it was just not here. Then it was gone. That's a dentist on the right there now. That went up when I was a kid, but I do remember it not being there. On this point here with the path leading up to the right, sometimes there'd be kids coming off of a bus, and one in particular, he was a bit of a bully, I remember. There, where that tree stump was, there was a telephone box. That's just looking back the way we came. Yeah, there was a telephone box there. So yeah, it looks like a tree stump. I didn't really look at it closely, to be honest, but right there was a telephone box. I think it was actually more to the left of what looks like the tree stump. I don't remember a tree being there, but that's something else again. But yeah, there was definitely a telephone box there. And, sometimes we used to make prank calls on the way home, stupid schoolboy stuff. And that was just typical of what we did. That'd be a thing from the way home, because we were feeling jubilant about getting out of school and, coming back home and whatever. Probably more so if it was like maybe a Thursday or Friday, we'd be feeling more daring, I would say. So that's more likely the case there. So just another look at that path. So there's the bus stop at the top of the path there, you see. And we used to dread it because they were considerably older than us, the boys that got off of there. I don't know what school they came from, but they were quite horrible, shall I say. Yeah, horrible kids. But thankfully, there was another boy that we used to meet up with. I think he went to a different school, but he was like really tall, and if he was with us, they tended not to bother us so much. I think it was his size that put them off. But yeah, there you go. So this is where we're going now. We're going to go through the subway. Those railings were not there when I was a kid. They've been added after the fact. Don't know why. I can't see a reason why they'd be there, to be truthful. A bit closer. It's going to go through the subway, famous subway. Kids scrapping and all that kind of stuff. Rushing through there on our bikes at top speed, whizzing past poor pedestrians just walking around like not knowing what they're doing, going way, like, and it all would echo through the subway itself. The subway, used to be full of graffiti, and looking at it now, it doesn't look like it's changed much at all. It still looks full of graffiti, and yeah, nothing much changed. It looks the same as it looks exactly the same as I remember it. It was a dump back then, and it's a dump now. It really is. But yeah, Thankfully, there was never too many undesirables loitering around in it, though. So, yeah, just typical of the sort of scene you get there on the walls. Nothing's changed in 30 odd years. Exactly the same mentality as well. Anyway, coming out the other side of the subway, this one here. Come up to this, there's a path on the left that you might just see. That just leads back to the road, so I'll show you that, but it doesn't go anywhere really special. It's just goes up to the main road. It seems a bit of a pointless path, to be honest with you, but there it is again. Yeah, just looking back at the subway there now. That's what the view I would see on the way back home. Just zoomed in a bit there. Right, now that's opposite. There used to be a pathway there you could get through the hedge, a gap in the hedge, and now I make a decision, because if I was going to my secondary school, that would be the way I would go. If not through the hedge, then around there. But we are going to the primary school, or my primary school in this video, so we will go the other way. So I was just looking down what you see when you get to the top there, just a little bit further along. So we'll actually walk up and we'll do it in real time, as it were. Go up to the path and you'll see the hedge right in front of me. There was a gap there through to the secondary school, or the field of the secondary school. So looking left, looking right, go that way for secondary school, and back the way we came. Right, so starting to walk down on the left. I used to walk down because on the left here there was no buildings at all. Oh yeah, that bike. And I was thinking fall off your numpty. But yeah, anyway, those buildings on the left, they weren't there. None of it was there. It was all just grass, tall grass. That's all it was. So yeah, that's another shot from the other side of the road. Which I would sometimes cross over. As I said, it depended how bored I was of walking a certain way. You just try and change it up day by day. You can see the Asda building in front in the distance there, that funny shaped spire thing in the distance. That's Asda. So this will be the way I come. Walking past there's another dentist on the left and a doctor's surgery. And all this was built during my time there. Like I say, that was just grass. Yeah. My dog used to bound through the grass. Used to have to bound because the grass was so tall in order to get through it. So yeah, all this fencing never used to be there either. On the right to the school, there's a gate along the side of there. Now that was not there. You could just walk in and out at will. Really, anybody could just walk in. People did, I think. That's probably why they put the fence up. But yeah, nice shot of the trees there. I was very lucky with the weather, actually. Didn't get caught by the rain because it was a rainy day in this one. So just gonna go up and gonna have a look through the gap here. Yeah, at the school. The building that I zoom in on was just the other side of where my old classroom would have been. Whether that's still there or not, I don't know. But yeah, there it is. The field was a lot bigger back then, because they've added more buildings onto the school. So just walking a bit further on, here we get to the next place where I stopped. So coming up to like the boundaries of Asda now, and one of the Asda car parks. So this is the way I had to go. This bit of road, that turning point, that wasn't there. Then it was just straight through. Anybody could drive through it, or ride through on our bikes, as it were. Yeah. Definitely Asda. Yeah, that all remains the same. So that's looking back. And to the left, that squarish building in the middle is Christ Church. It's kind of a community hall, and it's linked onto a church, obviously. Right, going down this path. There used to be a wall on the right where these cars are. That used to be walled off. So it's weird how they've taken some walls down and added some or railings in other areas. So we used to race the trolleys down here, like being menaces as boys typically do. Down through there, through these bollards, coming into the square area at the bottom, and right ahead of us is a pub called the Jolly Miller. Just going into the shade so I can see what I'm doing a bit more. To the left, that's kind of it's a St. Luke's shop now, but it used to be like a council housing place when I was a kid. Well, I don't know, sort out housing stuff, I suppose, like council housing and that kind of thing. So just walking past that now. That's just a shot from back, and then to the left there's Christ Church and the community hall. That's this kind of square with the shops directly ahead. That used to be Martin's Newsagents, and there's a group of shops there, chemists and chip shop, which is still there, and it's still called Jaws. Cool. Now I'm electing to walk up the slope on this video rather than the steps, just because. This wall on the left, there used to be a wall exactly the same on the right instead of the railings, just saying we used to walk along the wall trying to dare each other, doing stupid stunts as kids. I wonder if we didn't kill ourselves, but yeah, that's what we used to do. Yeah, sometimes we used to walk up the steps on the way and then go down the slope on the way back. That's just looking back. So we're heading down here now. We've got to the top of Asda. We're at Asda, and we're going down here to the left. This is pretty much the same as it always was, except at the end the path is cut off. And a lot of these car parking spaces have been added on since they never used to be there. So all this on the right wasn't here, wasn't cars there. There was a wall all the way down and then along. But we get to here, this is where the path ends here. And you turn right, and that's the way it continued. Straight ahead. That's just looking back to the right at Asda. So, carrying on, I decided to go straight ahead, although I couldn't go directly in line with where I thought the path was, purely because there's cars in the way now. What I should have done was walk more to the right, the other side of those cars on the right, but I opted to walk this way. So this wouldn't have been where the path was, but we're going in the right direction, as you will see when we get to the end. So imagine like just a path with a wall on either side of it, and I can still remember it. But like I said, they've obviously added all this extra car parking space to accommodate the growing customer base, I suppose. Walking straight on, going towards those trees there on the left, and just past that car, that red car. So where that shelter is, that's more along the lines of where it would have been. So the path would have come. Where that path is there now, in line with that and behind me now. So that was the path that I would have gone from there to there. So that path would be heading straight down towards the next subway. That ramp that's on the right there, which is obviously for disabled access, that wasn't there. Neither of those steps just to the right either. It was just literally this path straight down through. And then it's just looking back once again. So that's the path we end up going down. On the right, on that grass bank, there was a petrol station, I remember. So we're going to go down it now. So yeah, on the right was a petrol station, the Asda petrol station, which again we used to go through, cut through and get told off by the cashier. There used to be like a cashier in those days. There is a petrol station near there now, they've moved it further back and it's like a self-service one. But yeah, so that was the path going down to the subway. Now these subways are very famous in Estover Primary School, the old Estover Primary School. It was where you had your fights after school. I'll see you in the subway after school. So I actually had my first fight when I moved to Plymouth. Within like a couple of days of being here, that's the subway I had my first fight in, that one there. And that's gone through and back the other way now. So we're going back to the first subway now. I had to do it like this because of the way, I don't know, the way it was filmed. So this was the second subway, and the subway on. I never actually had a fight in this one. Not really, scuffles, but not really a fight. The subway up there on the left, that's where I had my first fight. Literally 2 days of being in this new school. Graffiti's always been there. Not the same graffiti, obviously. But, yeah. So we'll go up to this subway here. The famous subway. The subway, that used to fill people with dread. So, oh no, I've got to go past, because that path on the right, that's how you came down from the school. So you had no choice but to go past the subway. So that was always the place, where fisticuffs were engaged in. Right here. Yes. Right here. I had a fight with a boy called Alan Pascoe, and he was a bit of a numpty, to say the least. His sister came around that corner on the right there and dragged me off him, so I was sort of sat astride him, pummeling his head into the concrete, and she yanked me off him and told him to, well, what she meant was get home now, tea's ready, but she didn't say it quite like that. Yeah, so that's the subway. I'll take you through the next clip now, and then there'll be some photos. So coming out of the subway and up to here. So this was the path that led up to my old school. These steps up here, this was where my old school gate was. And that's the path that it used to look like, leading up to the school gate. And that's the school gate where the steps are now. And that's where the housing estate is now. Yeah. So this is what it looks like now. So that gate is gone. We go through these steps here, or we go up these steps here. It's just the view. I've got a shot of the path as it used to look. I'll put that in at the end. But yeah, so this would have been going into my old school, but now it's like a brand new housing estate. Steps, they love their steps in Plymouth, because Plymouth is very hilly, so it's going through this lot of steps, short path, and another lot of steps. So up we go. And now through here, and I don't know what this housing estate is called, but we go through here, and then on the like this brickwork here. Now it's a long time ago, but by my rough estimations, I probably would have been walking on one of the playgrounds in my old school at this point. And here we are. This is where Estover Primary School used to be. The old Estover Primary School. It's they moved it now next to the secondary school, which is now called Torbridge. It used to be called Estover Comprehensive when I went there, but that's another story for another video. Yeah, so this would have been like the playground, and leading up, if I was to carry on walking to my right and gone straight ahead, I would have reached the main playground, and then just on the left would have been my old classroom, by my rough guesstimation. But this is what it looks like now, and yeah, it felt weird being back in the area again, I must admit. And it just seemed odd altogether. Strange feeling. I know I've said it many times before. I'm kind of a nostalgic person anyway, but yeah, it was just very, very odd. So there's some shots of the housing estate. That ahead was the actual school as it is now, but yeah. So we're going back down the steps now, and that's the path. So it's a good place to end it, I feel. So coming out of school, imagine how that would have looked. That's how it used to look. Well, thank you very much for watching. I've really enjoyed doing this video series. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm slightly gutted I couldn't have got to the school just before they trashed it, because it was all done pretty much this year. So if I'd have gone early in the year, I could have probably gone around some of the remains of the school, which would have been cool. I kind of like that kind of thing. But yeah, so there it is. Let's go down the path and go home. Anyway, remember guys, all brushes lead to war. See you on the next video, eh? Thanks for watching again. Bye.